Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in this world. God bless you. This is Gloria White coming to you from Utah, USA. Today I am going to tell you about my vision that I had. Now, I had this probably a year ago. I was sitting on my sofa in the living room, and then all of a sudden it was like I was sucked through a tunnel, and the light was really bright, it, but it was like streaking past me on the sides around me, on say the inside of the tunnel that I was in. And so when I stopped, I was right here in front of the post office, United States Post Office. And I could see this man right in front of me. I could see this lady had black hair with bangs, but I couldn't see anything else about her. And then I looked and I saw this little girl was running around her. There was another kid that could hear him laughing, and she ran around this woman. You know, kids run around you and they put their arm on you and run around. That's what she was doing here. And she had a long blonde ponytail, hot pink top and shorts. And this here is a soldier with a blue helmet, and he had a gun. And then I could see there were more people, but like the lady's face, I couldn't, or what she was wearing, I couldn't see that. Just that there were more people lined up and they were going into this post office. But here, and there was this one and then another one, there were two white, like school buses, all painted all white. And then people were going into the post office. Now, this is a sidewalk that goes to the back of the post office. So, let's see. So then I was inside the post office, and people were had clipboards, and they were going up to the counter. And at the counter, they were asking where you work, where your kids go to school, and where is your doctor's office. Then they programmed that information into a chip, and they put it in your hand, like right here in your hand. And that was for the drone patrols that could tell if you were where you were supposed to be or if you were where you didn't belong, according to your chip. And then the next thing I was, and the information that's on this sheet before this one, this information, it was like a download, is the best I can describe it, because then I just knew that. And then the next thing, I was outside the post office, and I was watching this soldier taking this civilian with his hands handcuffed behind him, and he was taking him to put him into the van. There were, instead of the post office trucks that are usually parked behind the post office, there were white vans there. They were taking this guy to put him in the van, and he wasn't coming back. I just had a feeling that it was because they found weapons in his house, but I didn't have that feeling until after this. Then I got the feeling that it was because he had weapons. Now here is just a neighborhood, and there were houses. This house had a guardrail like for a porch on the front, and stairs, and this is just the sidewalk in the street. And here is a white, all white cab and trailer, 18-wheeler. There's are the soldiers like that were at the post office with the blue helmets. And these guys, they were running. There was more than just these two, but they were running in the houses and coming out, and they were taking all the food, water, ammo, medicine, everything out of the house, and they were putting them into the 18-wheelers. And then here, the next thing, I was standing like right here, but I was in this doorway, but I could look into this living room, and there was a dog here on the floor, and there was a puddle of blood around it. And then I was back on my sofa, but this guy in this first thing, and I have to tell you, unbelievable. This tape will not hold a present together, but I can't get it off this piece of paper. How weird is that, right? But this man, this is like the third time I'm trying to do this to show you guys what was going on. But that man, he was so crystal clear. Like I was standing right there looking at him. Like, I mean, it like real life. But I don't know how I could be on my sofa in there, but that's what happened. And guys, this isn't too far away. It's coming. You know, our president extended the national emergency for COVID, which gives him a lot of executive power that he would not otherwise have. And they recently signed a bill into effect that the Capitol Police in D.C. can call in the National Guard. And then I watched this video where the Epoch Times guy, Roman, was interviewing Robert Malone. And so for the longest time they were talking about, you know, the thing. And then at the end, Robert Malone said that Biden was going to use his NEA to call in the National Guard that would arrest up to 50,000 protesters and lock them up. You know, that's not going to go over so great with America and the Americans. And we're not defenseless like the Canadians were, who Joe Biden advised Trudeau to use his federal powers to get rid of those protesters. Now, Trudeau hasn't stopped at that. They started taking their GoFundMe money. They started impounding their trucks and arresting the protesters, holding them without bail. And then they got a hold of the GiftSendGo list of donations that people went there to donate instead of the GoFundMe, because of what they had done with GoFundMe. And somebody went in there and hacked their system, got the name of all the donors for that, for the truckers, and they gave it to the Canadian government. And so the Canadian government is using those names to prosecute those people and freeze their assets. That's what's going on in Canada. The other thing they're doing in Canada is their Parliament has been discussing how to control the social media. And what they want to do is put all the power for deciding what would be allowed to be seen and heard on YouTube, for example, that they wanted to put all that power into the hands of the CRTV portion, and they're government funded, so they're like the media there that's government funded. They're like the mainstream media here, but they want to give them powers, and they're trying to define what their powers would be and what would be allowed and what wouldn't be allowed. And so that conversation is going on over there in Canada, in addition to hunting down all the donors who supported the truckers. Guys, it's not going to be good when our truckers get to Washington. Even though they've said they're not going into D.C., I don't think it will matter. The Capitol Police are actually licensed to operate anywhere in the United States. And they were recently found to have been into one of the Republicans that are on the January 6th committee, and took pictures of things that was in his office, and also rifled through confidential papers that were on his desk. And they came back and asked, basically interrogated one of his staff, asking, what is this picture here of this drawing, and what are these X's for? And anyway, so the Capitol Police can operate anywhere in the United States, and they don't answer to anyone. And we know this because it was in the newspaper, and we know this because the January 6th trials that are going on, that the Capitol Police actually have 1,400 videos of what happened on that day, but refuse to give it to the people on trial or their lawyers to use in the defendant's defense, stating that it is confidential information. So that's how honest they operate. That's what we're up against here in America. And under the NEA, which is the National Emergency Act, I've heard that our constitutional rights have been suspended. So where we think we have the right to petition our government and peacefully protest, it looks like that may not be the case, in which, these excessive executive powers that our president is wielding could be very detrimental for anyone that shows up there to protest. And I have to say that, I have a channel here and I do Bible studies, that folks were rushing headlong into the New World Order. We see that Australia has already been dominated, and now we're watching what Trudeau is doing in Canada, and we're watching our truckers heading toward Washington. So pray for our truckers, pray for our country, pray that our leaders turn to God, that God would turn them back to righteousness, and pray for the people in Canada, pray for the people in Ukraine and in Russia, pray for the entire world, that God send peace to our earth, and that He turn back the tide of all that's coming at this point in time. And as always, I love you.